What is CYP3A4? CYP3A4 oxidizes xenobiotics, such as toxins or drugs, so that they can be removed from the body. The expression of CYP3A4 has been linked to estrogen-related cancers. When working with your practitioner, there are several things that can be done when you are estrogen dominant and have a CYP3A4 SNP. Caffeine can elevate estrogen levels up to 70%. If CYP3A4 is compromised due to an overload of caffeine, then an individual can have problems metabolizing the estrogen that comes along with it. This overload of estrogen has been linked to hormone-related cancers such as breast, ovarian, uterine, prostate, and testicular. Glyphosate has been found to suppress cytochrome P450 enzymes. What is glyphosate? Glyphosate is an herbicide. It is used in genetically modified foods, and it is also sprayed on many conventional crops. When should I be concerned about CYP3A4? If you have an SNP, singular nucleotide polymorphism, of CYP3A4 and have done hormone testing, and see that your estrogen level is elevated, you might want to consider avoiding estrogen-rich foods, genetically modified foods, and conventional foods sprayed with glyphosate. Foods that can elevate and mimic estrogen: coffee, black tea, chocolate, soy, dairy injected with bovine growth hormone, beef injected with bovine growth hormone, pork injected with bovine growth hormone, chicken injected with bovine growth hormone, turkey injected with bovine growth hormone, non-organic chicken eggs containing bovine growth hormone, flaxseed, yucca root, carbonated beverages containing caffeine, dried apricots, dried prunes, dried dates, sesame seeds, chickpeas, beans, peas, tempeh, alfalfa sprouts, bran cereal, and tofu. A chemical that is hidden in many things in your home that contains artificial estrogen properties is BPA, bisphenol A. Things that contain BPA: cash register receipts. BPA is lined in many canned goods, plastics such as storage containers, milk jugs, and water bottles. The following is a list of foods that are better choices for an individual with CYP3A4 and elevated estrogen levels. Your meats and poultry should be organic, grass-fed, BGH-free, and antibiotic-free. Try to eat local and organic. Avoid canned goods because many canned goods contain BPA. When choosing water and other beverages in plastic bottles, make sure the bottles are BPA-free. How can I tell when a plastic bottle is BPA-free? There is usually a little triangle at the bottom of plastic bottles which contain a number. The numbers 1, 2, and 5 at the bottom of plastic bottles are BPA-free. Remember, when concerned about elevated estrogen levels and knowing that you have a CYP3A4 SNP, it is important to speak with your practitioner for guidance. Your practitioner may consider placing you on supplements that can help break down estrogen. A substrate is the substance on which an enzyme acts. The following are CYP3A4 substrates: alphentanil, also known as alphenta; alfuzosin, also known as uroxetrol; almotriptan, also known as Axert; alprazolam, also known as Xanax; amiodarone, also known as cordarone; amitriptyline; amlodipine, also known as Norvasc; anastrozole, aprepitant, also known as Emend; ariprazole; estemazole; atazanavir, also known as Reataz; atorvastatin, also known as Lipitor; Bepardil, also known as Vascor; bexarotene, also known as Targretin; bicalutamide; bosentan, also known as Tracleer; bromocriptine, also known as Parlodel; budesonide, also known as Intocort; buprenorphine, also known as Subutex; bupropion, also known as Buspar; buspirone; caffeine; carbamazepine, also known as Tegretol; servastatin; cevimeline, also known as Evoxac; chlorphenamine; xylotazol, also known as Pletol; cisapride, also known as Propulsid; citalopram; clarithromycin, also known as Biaxin; clomipramine; clonazepam, also known as Klonopin; clopidogrel, also known as Plavix; cocaine; codeine; colchicine; cyclobenzaprine; cyclophosphamide, also known as Cytoxan; cyclosporine, also known as Neurol; dapsone, also known as avalocipon; darunavir, also known as Prezista; dasatinib, also known as Sprycel; delavirdine, also known as Rescriptor; dexamethasone, also known as Decadron; dextromethorphan; diazepam; dihydroergotamine; diltiazem, also known as Cortisem; disopyramide, also known as Norpace; doxytaxel, also known as Taxotere; domperidone; donepezil, also known as Aricept; doxorubicin, also known as Adriamycin; droperidol; dutasteride, also known as Avodart; ebastine, also known as Kestine; efavirenz, also known as Sestiva; elatriptan, also known as Relpax; eplerenone, also known as Inspra; ergotamine, also known as Ergomar; erlotinib, also known as Tarceva; erythromycin; estazolam, also known as Pro-Som; azopiclone, also known as Lunestra; ethanil; ethinyl estradiol; estradiol; ethosuximide, also known as Xerotin, etoposide, also known as Vepicid, exemestane, also known as aromacin, felodipine, also known as Plendil, fentanyl, also known as Sublimase, finasteride, also known as Proscar, flurazepam, also known as Dalmane, fosamprenavir, also known as Lexiva, galantamine, also known as Remenil, gefitinib, also known as Iressa, granisetron, also known as Kytril, halofantrine, also known as Halfan, haloperidol, hydrocortisone, ifosfamide, also known as Ifex, imatinib, also known as Gleevec, imipramine, indinavir, also known as Crixivan, irinotecan, also known as Camtosar, isradipine, also known as Dinosurc, itraconazole, also known as Sporanox, ixabepilone, also known as Xempra, ketoconazole, also known as Nizorol, lepatinib, also known as Tykerb, lercanipidine, levocetalmethadol, levomethadil, also known as Orlam, lidocaine, loperamide, also known as Imodium, lopinavir, also known as Caletra, loratadine, also known as Claritin, lovastatin, also known as Mevacor, methoxytamine, methylprednisolone, midazolam, also known as Versed, mifepristone, also known as Mifeprex, mirtazapine, modafinil, also known as Provigil, nateglanide, nefazodone, nalfinavir, nevirapine, also known as Viramune, nicardipine, also known as Cardine, nifedipine, also known as Adalat, nimodipine, also known as Nimotop, nisoldipine, also known as Sular, nitrendipine, also known as Baypress, norfluoxetine, omeprazole, ondansetron, oxybutinin, also known as Ditropan, oxycodone, also known as Percodan, paclitaxel, also known as Taxol, pericalcitol, also known as Zemplar, Pimozide, also known as Orap, pioglitazone, praziquantel, also known as Biltricide, prednisolone, prednisone, progesterone, propranolol, propoxyphene, also known as Dorvan, quazepam, also known as Doral, quetiapine, also known as Seroquel, quinacrine, quinidine, quinine, ranolazine, also known as Renexa, reboxetine, repaglinide, also known as Prandin, rifabutin, also known as Remactane, risperidone, ritonavir, also known as Norvir, salmeterol, sequinavir, also known as Invirase, sertraline, sibutramine, also known as Meridia, sildenafil, also known as Viagra, simvastatin, also known as Zocor, sirolimus, also known as Rapamune, sulfasenacin, also known as Vesicare, sorafenib, sufentanil, also known as Sufenta, sunitinib, also known as Sutent, tacrolimus, also known as Prograf, tadalafil, also known as Cialis, tamoxifen, also known as Nolvadex, tamsulosin, also known as Flomax, telithromycin, temsirolimus, teniposide, also known as Vumon, terfenadine, testosterone, tiagabine, also known as Gabatril, tinidazole, also known as Tindamax, tipranavir, also known as Aptivus, topiramate, also known as Topamax, torimifene, tramadol, trazodone, triazolam, also known as Halcyon, vardenafil, also known as Levitra, vamurafenib, venlafaxine, verapamil, also known as Calan, vinblastine, also known as Velbane, vincristine, also known as Oncovin, Vindicine, warfarin, also known as Coumadin, Zaleplon, ziprasidone, also known as Geodone, Zolpidem, also known as Ambien, zonisamide, also known as Zonagran, zopiclone, also known as Imovane. An inhibitor is a substance that slows down or prevents a particular chemical reaction or other process, or that reduces the activity of a particular reactant, catalyst, or enzyme. The following are CYP3A4 inhibitors: amiodarone, amprenavir, aprepitant, atazanavir, Avalox, bergamotin, which is found in grapefruit, bicalutamide, buprenorphine, cafestol, an ingredient found in unfiltered coffee, chloramphenicol, cimetidine, cipro, ciprofloxacin, clarithromycin, canivaptan, cyclosporine, darunavir, dasatinib, delavirdine, diltiazem, dithiocarbamate, erythromycin, fluconazole, fluoroquinolone, also known as Cipro, ciprofloxacin, Levaquin, Avelox, and floxacin, fluoxetine, fluvoxamine, fosemprenavir, gestodine, ginkgo biloba, grapefruit juice, imatinib, indinavir, isoniazid, itraconazole, ketoconazole, lapatinib, mifepridil, miconazole, mifepristone, milk thistle, mifazodone, nelfinavir, norfloxacin, norfluoxetine, orphenadrine, piperine, posaconazole, ritonavir, quinupristin, saquinavir, star fruit, tamoxifen, telithromycin, troliandomycin, valerian, verapamil, voriconazole. An inducer is a molecule that starts gene expression. The following are CYP3A4 inducers: aminoglutathione, bexarotene, bosentan, butalbital, carbamazepine, dexamethasone, efavirenz, fosphenytoin, griseofulvin, modafinil, nafcillin, nevirapine, oxcarbazepine, phenobarbital, phenytoin, pioglitazone, primidone, rifabutin, rifampin, rifapentine, St. John's wort, troglitazone. Remember, if you have a concern, find a practitioner that understands epigenetics and nutrigenomics.